I can hear Pete rattling the dishes in the background. We still got some people that are muted.
It looks like channel 17 is muted. And then John's iPhone, I believe, is a public attendee. John, if you're able to rename yourself, that would be good for the sign-in sheet with your first and last name for the record.
I'm just gonna hang up on the phone.
I was gonna say, I think that's John Himmelgarn.
Oh, that is John. Oh, okay.
I'm on my laptop. I haven't figured out how to adjust the volume on it, so we'll just we'll blare it to the air here.
All right, we got, who else we got? David Saladino is here.
Hey, good evening, Scott.
Good evening, how are you?
Doing well.
Okay, anybody else? That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, all right. So let's, it's 7:01. If everybody's all right, we're going to bring the meeting to order at 7:01. Emily, can you unmute everybody that you have to unmute? And I will read the statement. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm pressing unmute for David Saladino.
Okay, I still see a mute. I still see a mute icon on his.
There it goes. Oh, he's good now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to bring the meeting to order at 7:02. Welcome everyone to the Development Review Board for Tuesday, July 14th. As with the previous online Zoom meetings, we do have a statement to read from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. So bear with me while I run through this. I, Scott Riley, as chair of the Williston Development Review Board, find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Addendum 6 to Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by video conference and telephone through Zoom. All members of the Development Review Board and the public have the ability to communicate and participate contemporaneously during the meeting through Zoom. Planning staff will provide instructions for the public participation using Zoom before the hearings are opened. B, providing public notice of instructions for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting on Zoom with a computer, smartphone, or regular telephone in our posted meeting agenda. Instructions have also been provided on the town website at www.town.williston.vt.us. Click on the public records documents, then agendas and minutes, and navigate to the desired meeting. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please use the chat feature within Zoom, open parentheses, Alt+H, close parentheses. Email or call Emily at eheyman, that's EHEYMANN @willistonvt.org, or 802-878-6704, extension 3. D, continuing the meeting if necessary. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, it will be continued to July 28th. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance for all DRB members participating in the meeting. John Hemmelgarn.
Here.
Pete Kelly.
Present.
Dave Turner.
Here.
Steve Lambrecht.
Present.
Scott Riley is here. Paul Christensen.
Here.
David Saladino.
Here.
Okay. Roll call is complete. Before we do start the meeting, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our newest member, Steve Lambrecht. Steve, how about giving us a quick rundown on who you are, what you are, and why you're here?
Sure. Steve Lambrecht. I'm a airline pilot for United Airlines, and I'm in the Air National Guard here as well. Moved to Williston in 2001. Prior to that, I moved to South Burlington in 2000. So I've been in town here for actually coming up on closer to 20 years. History of public service, and I've got the disease, and so here I am. Happy to help out.
Great. Welcome. That's fantastic.
Looks like you're a Buck supporter too, which is that's great.
Yeah, I used to coach when my boys were younger.
Yeah.
Well, great. That's fantastic. Glad to have you.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
We do have 2 items on the agenda for tonight. We will start by opening up the hearing with a public forum. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to bring anything to the attention of the board that is not on the agenda, now is the time to do it. Emily, do we have anybody out there?
I'm seeing no public attendees tonight.
No public attendees tonight. So much for the public forum. Let's move to the public hearing part. Again, 2 items on the agenda for tonight. I will be recusing myself on the second one, and Pete Kelly will be running that. First up is DP 20-23 Glenn Cummings, care of Lamoureux and Dickinson. I saw Andy Rowe. Andy Rowe is in attendance. Mr. Rowe, or is it just you or anybody with you?
Just me tonight.
Just you tonight. Would you say your name and your address, please?
Andy Rowe with Lamoureux and Dickinson, 14 Morris Drive, Essex.
Great. Thanks a bunch, Andy. And for the record, I would like to state that my company does do business with Lamoureux and Dickinson. Staff goes first. Emily, are you it?
Yep, I'm it. Before we get going, I do want to remind people that at the green toolbar up top, you can click View Options, and you can balance the screen between screen share and participant view. That way you can see everybody's video and the screen share with whatever size is your preference. This is just the Zoom instructions showing you that little panel up top. If you have questions during the meeting, type in the chat and Bonnie and I will be able to help you. So this is a request for pre-application review of a proposed 23,700 square foot single-story building with parking, outdoor storage, and related appurtenances. The 4.15 acre parcel was created under the Robert subdivision and is currently undeveloped. The access to the property is a town road. This property is located in the Industrial Zoning District West. It is not subject to design review or Conservation Commission review. Staff is recommending approval. Project history. Lot 8 was created in November of 2019 as part of the Robert subdivision, DP 18-21. The Conservation Commission and HAC did not provide comment on this application. Police and fire did provide comment, and their memos are included as recommendations. No public comment was received at the time of mail out on July 9th, nor have I received comment on this application up till now. Staff advises the DRB to approve this application with recommendations as drafted. Moving on to project elements. For the Industrial Zoning District West, we are recommending a standard recommendation. The proposed uses of wholesale trade and construction are allowed in this zoning district. They're proposing electrical equipment supply, wholesale, and an electrical or construction contractor. They're proposing a single-story building with 2 tenant spaces. Overhead doors and loading docks are proposed. Compliance with the setbacks and height requirements must be demonstrated at discretionary permit. Outdoor sales and storage outdoor storage is proposed to the side and rear of the property in compliance with the standards that are excerpted below. Landscaping, staff is recommending a specific recommendation, primarily that the applicant identify and retain existing vegetation in the buffers where feasible. They're proposing a 9-foot type 3 buffer on the sides, and then to the front, they'll be required to do a street tree section. There is a wetland buffer present to the north, and they are proposing boulders around that buffer. We're recommending a standard recommendation for street trees. The discretionary permit must demonstrate compliance with the street tree standards. Watershed health, also a standard recommendation. There is that class 2 wetland north of this property on lot 9, and a portion of that 50-foot buffer is on lot 8. They're proposing the existing vegetation to remain and boulders to demarcate. The Conservation Commission commented on that wetland area during the Robert subdivision, which is why they didn't comment on this application specifically. Access and connectivity, a standard recommendation is provided. They're showing a 10-foot paved path along Shunpike Road for pedestrian and cyclist access. This will join path segments on neighboring properties. You might recall the Glenn Cummings building recently opened to the east, and then 3075 Shunpike Drive. So that segment of path is now becoming complete, and they are proposing a single curb cut onto Shunpike Road. Staff is not recommending a traffic study due to the size and scale of this project. Industrial uses generate a small number of vehicle trips. Off-street parking and loading, we are recommending a specific recommendation. They are showing an additional 20 spaces to accommodate wholesale customers and company vehicles. The discretionary permit application must demonstrate compliance with the bicycle parking and end of trip facility requirements in the table below. I also excerpted some of the bylaw. Industrial uses start at 1 vehicle space per 1,000 square feet. In the table, you see they're proposing 1.85 spaces to accommodate work vehicles, wholesale vehicles, etc. And their bicycle parking spaces are TBD to be shown at discretionary permit. On-site infrastructure, we're providing a standard recommendation. They're proposing municipal water and sewer connections. The new utility connections must be underground. Maintenance, for recommending a standard recommendation. Snow storage and solid waste are shown on the plan, and the discretionary permit must continue that, demonstrating that compliance at discretionary permit for their landscaping maintenance, their snow storage, and solid waste management. Outdoor lighting, we provided a standard recommendation. The discretionary permit must demonstrate compliance with the parking lot and security lighting standards, including plans for dimming and motion sensing security lighting. Signs and public art, also a standard recommendation. A master sign plan is required for multi-tenant properties and must be included at discretionary permit. Lastly, impact fees will be assessed at the time of administrative permit for transportation. School and recreation fees do not apply because this project is not residential. And what follows is the standard recommendations with the one specific for retaining existing vegetation. Thank you.
Emily, thank you very much. Andy Rowe, what would you like to add?
Not much. Emily gave a very thorough overview. just that, Glenn Cummings is looking at occupying the 4,000 square foot portion of the building with his business, potentially Cummings Electric. And he has had discussions with an electrical wholesaler occupying the balance of the building. Depending on whether those discussions continue, the building, not that the building is going to change, but we might eliminate one of those one of those loading docks moving forward. But hopefully not. Hopefully he can continue to have that tenant lined up for the majority of the building.
Okay. Anything else?
We understand and are well aware of the requirements that will need to be provided with the discretionary permit application, and have no problem locating existing trees in the portion of the site where grading is going to be limited, or off to the west along Shunpike Road in particular, where trees may be able to be left intact.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to open it up to the board for questions at this point. Everyone? What questions does the board have?
The only question I have is the chain link fence around the outdoor storage areas. Will it be a see-through chain link fence, or will it be rated so that people can't see through it?
Yes, we'd expect that. I'm not sure if the bylaw requires this, if it only requires that it be fenced, but including either the vinyl slats or the screening, the applicant has no objection to that being a condition.
Screening, fences, or walls which shall be located on the interior side of the buffer may be required by the DRB. So some screening is required. I think the privacy slats where outdoor storage would be visible from the public way is a reasonable requirement.
David, is that something you're asking for?
Yeah, especially on the side facing like the Shunpike Road and stuff, where people will be able to look in and see, I don't know, spools of wire or whatever laying there. I mean, it's a distance, so it's possible the trees will cover that too, so it won't be seen, but just in case it's seen from the road.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
Is the building frontage of this one going to be similar to the one next door to it? The styling?
Yeah, very similar. The one next door doesn't have any parking directly in front. It's just down the sides, because that curb cut is centered on the face of the building. So a little bit different, but very similar.
Okay.
Have you done the math on the turn radiuses for the loading docks, just to make sure that you're able to, with the type of trucks you're planning to use, make those turns without having to expand any of the boundaries you've got presented here?
Yes, that was the first thing we did that was really driving the site layout. That's why the aisles are wide. The radiuses are fairly large at the corners of the building, and the radii, for example, off the northwest and the northeast corners of the building are paved without any landscaped islands there.
Thank you.
Andy, are you asking us, or will you be asking us to approve the future parking, or is that just for our information?
No, we wouldn't be. We understand that if he wanted to build the future parking, he'd have to come back for a DP amendment. We were just showing that in case there was any questions. And we'll also be sure to take that into account with the stormwater system design, so that if he does come back and ask for additional parking, that he's already set with the stormwater system.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we've done that in the past, though, where the DP permit includes that additional parking, and then to expand it would just be an administrative permit if parking and landscaping is all to spec at DP phase. Andy, I think we can touch base about that to avoid another DRB trip if possible.
But he likes talking with us. I'm sorry. But the parking calculations that you gave us would not have included these parking spaces. at this
Correct. They
point.
only include the spaces that are shown, not any of
Right.
the future spaces.
Yeah. So Andy, the only other concern I have, and you've probably looked at that, is it appears that there's quite a bit of fill in the southwest, the southeast corner of the site. That I assume the floor elevation is around 300 and 335 or something, kind of the existing grade.
Yeah, so the northeast corner, you mean?
Or do I have my north arrow wrong here? Oh, yeah, all right.
Yep, northeast.
Yeah, the northeast, sorry. Yeah, exactly. That looks to be about, the existing grade looks to be about 15 feet below the finished floor elevation.
Correct.
So will you be able to realistically build that retaining wall without infringing on the wetland buffer?
Yes. I mean, that's the intent, that's the purpose of that retaining wall, is so that we are not encroaching into the wetland buffer. You're looking at the corner of the wall where it is closest to the wetland buffer, I presume.
Yeah, where it looks about 2 feet away.
Yep.
I know that frequently the foundations for those walls will extend further out from where the wall is. And you'll have to dig that up.
Yep, we can look at what type of wall he's going to be considering there, whether it's in all likelihood, it'll be a precast block wall. The bases usually don't extend out too far on those other than the concrete, the gravel or stone pad. But the size of the blocks coming back on the heel can be quite sizable. In this one, if it is the precast blocks, will likely require geogrid in order to stabilize it due to the height.
All right. Well, I guess my comment here at pre-app would only be, it looks like you're pushing the envelope there a little bit, both at the retaining wall and for the outdoor storage, where I assume that wants to be at the parking lot elevation. And there's an awful lot of fill there that you're going to have to return to the grade at the property line. It's going to be a very steep slope there. So
yes, and if we can't accomplish that with a 2-on-1, there may be a short segment of retaining wall there as well.
Okay, that's my only comment here. Just noting that there's some steep slopes there.
Other questions from the board?
And did you have any objection to moving the bike rack up by the front door instead of by the back door?
Nope.
Just to make it more visible to people arriving.
Anybody who wants to joust with a couple pieces of electrical conduit can make it easy for them.
Yeah. And then for the truck circulation, to go back to Steve's question, how did you have the trucks? Do you have the trucks pulling straight north and then backing into those?
Yes.
Okay.
And so the retaining wall in the middle of the building, the southern retaining wall, was intended for a full-size tractor trailer. The one to the north, the second one that's closest to the north end of the building, was not intended for a tractor trailer, but for a smaller single unit truck.
Okay. So the articulated trucks wouldn't be doing the full loop around the building. They would just be pulling straight back and then backing into the dock.
Correct. And then as they're leaving, they'd be circling around the building.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. And so where the bike rack is currently shown, that's just a striped island, right? That's not a raised island there.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I had.
Other questions? Anyone?
I'm good, Scott.
All right, you're good? Okay. Everybody else, you all right for the time being?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Emily, I know you said we didn't have anybody in the audience. Do we have anybody in the audience now that would like to participate in this hearing?
No, I'm not seeing anyone from the public.
Okay, so no public comment at this point in time. Andy, anything else you would like to add to this?
No.
No, okay. One more time around the board. Any other questions from the board? This is a pretty straightforward one.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
All right. And if I don't, one more time, if I don't hear from anybody, we are going to, we're going to close the hearing at 7:25. Everybody okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We're going to close DP 20-23 Glenn Cummings, care of Lamoureux and Dickinson at 7:25. Thank you, Andy. You're on for the next one too, I assume. Okay. Next up is DP 09-01.19. It is Snyder FC Commercial Properties LLC and Riley Properties LLC. I will be recusing myself from this hearing. Pete Kelly will be running the meeting.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to open this hearing at 7:25. First order of business is to hand it off to staff. Who's the staff member handling this one?
It's me. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Melinda.
Okay. This is a request for a discretionary permit to amend an existing master sign plan for the commercial components of Finney Crossing in the Taft Corners zoning district. The applicant is proposing to add new signage to the site, including wall signs that are larger than the allowed sizes in the Williston Development Bylaw, Chapter 25A, and which are only allowable through the approval of a master sign plan by the DRB. At this time, the applicants are requesting an amendment to the master sign plan to accommodate signs for Building J, previously approved by the DRB and currently under construction. The easterly portion of Building J will be occupied by Healthy Living Market, and the westerly portion will be occupied by multiple tenants to be determined. In 2007, the DRB approved the overall subdivision of Finney Crossing and the residential portions of Finney Crossing. Since then, there have been a number of amendments to accommodate commercial development on the site and associated signage. And the Building J was, discretionary permit for Building J was approved on June 25th, 2019. And Building J is a 30,250 square foot single story multi-tenant commercial building with related appurtenances in Finney Crossing. This master sign plan amendment will accommodate signs for Building J. Chapter 25 provides a mechanism by which a commercial site may gain approval for a master sign plan from the DRB. And master sign plans are required in Williston for new or existing commercial building that will or could have multiple tenants, for a type of sign that can only be permitted under a master sign plan, such as awnings, and for a greater number of signs, or for signs that are larger in size than are allowed by WDB 25A. And in this case, the master sign plan is required because the site contains or will contain multiple commercial tenants, and the applicant is proposing wall signs that are larger than the 24 square foot maximum size, which can only be approved if the DRB approves a master sign plan with special findings that the proposed signage is in accordance with the Williston Comprehensive Plan and the Williston Development Bylaw as they relate to signs. So in the staff report is included a table which shows the signage that's currently approved on the site, as well as the proposed signage for Building J. Wall signs are proposed for Building J, and portable signs, sandwich boards. As far as the calculations, Chapter 25 allows a maximum potential amount of signage under a master sign plan at 8% of the area of the street facing elevation of the building on the site, which in this case puts the maximum potential sign area allowed at 1,644 square feet. The applicant is proposing a total sign area of 1,638 square feet. And the frontage used in the calculation includes the east facade of the hotel building and the bank building and the south facade of building J. No additional facades were used. Portable signs are included in these calculations for the total sign area. They are considered permanent. Portable signs may not exceed 12 square feet on each space and must be removed when the business they advertise is closed. And sandwich boards may take up no more than 30% of a pedestrian walkway. None of the signs proposed or existing on the site are non-conforming due to their size, location, number, or method of illumination. Special findings. The applicant has proposed wall signs in excess of 24 square feet. This can be permitted, but only if the DRB is willing to make specific findings that allowing these signs is consistent with the Williston Comprehensive Plan and the intent of Williston Development Bylaw, Chapter 25. And staff has drafted those findings below. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Melinda. Appreciate the overview. So from the applicant, it looks like Andy and Chris are present and representing the applicant. Andy and Chris, if you could please formally introduce yourself and your address for the record, please.
Andy Rowe, Lamoureux and Dickinson, 14 Morris Drive, Essex.
Chris Snyder, Snyder Finney Crossing Commercial LLC, 4076 Shelburne Roads, Suite 6, Shelburne.
Great. Thank you. Andy and Chris, what do you have to add to Melinda's overview?
Well, the master sign plan that you have in front of you is not drastically different from the signage that was presented on the elevations, although not approved through the discretionary permit for the construction of the building. It is very similar to what was shown. The one major difference is on the north elevation, the healthy living sign was moved to the east off of the glass of the main entry as you come in from the parking lot. When the discretionary permit plans were reviewed, the logo and the signage was within that glass area. As they've started construction on the building and fleshing out the sign details, it became apparent that that wasn't going to work for a couple of different reasons. And so that signage has been moved to the east on the north elevation. Everything else is generally very similar to what was shown on the discretionary permit application plans.
Okay, thank you. Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I think the two technicians have done a very good job here, Melinda and Andy, outlining what we're proposing.
Great. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the board for comments and questions.
So Pete, the only clarification I would ask is that, Andy, it seems like the sign that you just mentioned is the JN1 sign that I see on the floor plan.
Correct.
Right, and it's on the floor plan, it's still pointed to just above the doors, but you're saying that it's actually further further to the east.
Correct. I know on my plan it's moved, but it will certainly be reflected in the correct location on the final plans.
Yeah.
I made that into the set that went to you guys or not, but yes, that it moved from the main entrance to the east in that section that's recessed between sort of the two bookends.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that there was no confusion there. Otherwise, it looks great. Thanks.
If I could ask one thing of the board, on our sign summary plan, sheet 2, the only two signs that we don't call out is being lit with with the sign either being backlit or the letters being halo lit, are the two for the retail space all the way at the west end of the building. JS6 and JW1, again, all the way at the west end of the building. And at one point, we had those illuminated and then not illuminated, I think, to provide flexibility for the potential tenant there. We'd like the ability for those to be illuminated in the same fashion as all the others, where it's either backlit or the letters are channel lit, consistent with what we have shown on the for the note on sheet MSP5 regarding the sign illumination. We'd just like that to be extended on JS6 and JW1, and we'll make that, if it's acceptable to the board, we'll make that change on the final plans.
Does anyone have any objection to that?
It'll be off when the business is shut down though, right?
Correct. All the lighting on the site would be subject to the requirements regarding shutting the business sign off, as well as dimming of the parking lot lighting.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
No objections here, Pete.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments on that?
Nope.
Okay, I don't think that's an issue, Andy. So staff, sandwich boards. What's your, what have you observed in terms of compliance with bringing them in at the end of the day?
Not 100%, but not 0% either.
What's going out on a limb, Emily? Somewhere between 0 and 100.
Yes.
When you put it that way.
You have a career in politics, Emily.
Thank you.
Melinda, do you have anything a little bit closer to a number?
No, I don't, because I'm usually gone out of Williston before the end of business day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The reason I bring it up is it's one of those things that when you're serving on the DRB and you know that they're not supposed to be out there overnight, they seem to pop out of the snowbank at you when you're driving by in the morning. And I'm not sure there's anything for the record here, except that I would just ask for an attempt at some compliance. And I realize that you don't control your tenants. I recognize that, but if you could maybe incorporate that into the lease, you know, just try to do something for compliance. It really does make a difference.
We certainly couldn't add that into the lease in terms of sandwich boards. And I do understand, and I would agree. I do drive by places and amazed that people are not following the rules with those. So it is our intent to keep that as minimal as possible and manage that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Board members, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I nominate Pete to drive around and pick up sandwich boards after closing on all businesses.
Pete, you're hired.
Awesome, awesome. Chris and Andy, anything else?
Nothing else.
Nothing else from here.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
No public attendees.
No public attendees. Okay. Okay, we are going to close TP 09-01.19 at 7:39 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Riley, I will hand the baton back to you.
He's muted.
Scott, you have to unmute yourself.
All right.
There we go.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Okay. Thank you, Pete. Okay. We're going to go into deliberation. We have no attendees. Do you want to switch screens, Emily, or just do what we're doing? I don't
Yep,
think,
I will put channel 17 in the
Welcome back. It is 8:09 and the Williston Development Review Board is out of deliberation for on July 14th. We do have 2 items to vote on tonight. First up is DP 20-23 Glenn Cummings, care of Lamoureux and Dickinson. Do I have a motion, Mr. David Saladino?
As authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, David Saladino, move that the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and the advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of July 14th, 2020, accept the recommendations for DP 20-23 and authorize this application to move forward to discretionary permit review. The Development Review Board adds the following 2 additional recommendations. Number 1, future parking expansion may require a discretionary permit amendment. And recommendation number 5, outdoor storage shall be screened.
Great, thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Dave Turner seconds it. We're going to do a roll call vote. John Hemmelgarn?
Aye.
Pete Kelly?
Aye.
Dave Turner?
Aye.
Steve Lambrecht?
Aye.
Scott Riley? Aye. Paul Christensen?
Aye.
David Saladino?
Aye.
All right, looks like we have 7 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Okay, next up is DP 09-01.19, the Snyder FC Commercial Properties LLC and Riley Properties LLC. I'll call the vote. I have recused myself from this hearing. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Scott. As authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, John Hemmelgarn, move that the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application materials submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and the advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Unified Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of July 14th, 2020, accept the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and conditions of approval proposed by staff for the review of DP 09-01.19 commercial master sign plan, and approve this discretionary permit for a master sign plan. We are going to add three additional whatever you call them. Conditions, thank you.
Recommendation.
These are conditions. No, this is a DP, right? Anyway, number 7, signs JS6 and JW1 are approved as illuminated signs. Number 8, all tenant lease agreements to require portable signs to comply with WDB 25.7.2.3. And number 9, sign JN1 is to be located to the east of the main entrance on the north elevation as shown on the revised black and white elevation. This approval authorizes the applicant to submit final plans, obtain approval of these plans from staff, and then seek an administrative permit for future development, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans on which this approval is based.
Great, thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Pete Kelly seconds it. Let's see, any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. John Hemmelgarn.
Aye.
Pete Kelly.
Aye.
Dave Turner.
Aye.
Steve Lambrecht.
Aye.
Scott Riley abstains and has recused himself. Paul Christensen.
Aye.
David Saladino.
Aye.
Okay, the vote passes. 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Let's see here. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of June 23rd, 2020 as written.
Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Okay, who was on the second?
That was Dave Turner.
Dave Turner's on the second. Okay. Roll call vote one more time. John Hemmelgarn,
Aye.
Pete Kelly,
Aye.
Dave Turner,
Aye.
Steve Lambert.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. One abstention. Scott Riley, aye. Paul Christensen,
Aye.
David Saladino.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries to approve the minutes of July 14th, 2020, what's the date? Not July 14th. Pete, what's the date on that?
On the minutes,
Yep,
June 23rd.
that was on June 26th,
Third.
23rd.
June
okay.
23rd is what I
Yeah,
said.
23.
Yeah. Got it, 23. My minutes seem to be missing at the moment. They were here a minute ago. Okay, so motion has passed to approve the minutes of June 23, 6 ayes, no nays, 1 abstention. Thank you very much, everybody. Steve Lambert, again, welcome to the board. We're glad to have you. Anything else from anybody?
A quick question. Does anybody know what's going on with Friendlies?
That's a good question.
It looks like a hayfield down there now and everything else. Looks like we just stopped taking care of everything.
It does, doesn't it?
Right in the middle of town too.
The rumor that I've heard is that that restaurant is not going to reopen, and I don't know what the reuse is there, but that's a pretty valuable piece of property.
Yes.
Yep.
I do
Okay.
know, really quick, Matt sent a letter to the owner. I think it was an address in Florida, so who knows if they'll be able to mow.
Maybe I'll just take my mower, go down there and go mow it, make it look better.
Yeah.
Might take a couple passes.
Yeah, it'll take a couple passes for sure.
Thanks
Okay.
again for updating the notes. I think they look really good. I think this will help us all to be on point in our reviews. So thanks for. Is that template your own, or did you borrow that from somewhere? Is another town use the same format?
It's mostly my own, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Great job.
There was a Planning Magazine article about good staff reports, and then I took that inspiration and made a template.
Nice.
Well done.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:16?
So moved.
So moved. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.